I wanted to show you guys a video from one of the mayors from the occupied Kherson region. A lot of mayors in occupied territory, like Metropole, for example, did not collaborate with the Russians. In fact, many of them were detained and they tried to make them collaborate with the Russians and they wouldn't, and they were put under some pretty bad conditions. Many of them have testified these conditions afterwards. Many have just not collaborated with the Russians. Others have collaborated with the Russians, either out of convenience or not wanting to rock the boat, or possibly out of profit, wanting to make some money, because there is money to be made by collaborating with the Russians. There are a lot of people who don't want to work with the Russians, so the Russians, knowing how useful it is to have people on the ground on your side, are paying people who collaborate with them in functions like this pretty handsomely. Anyway, this is Alexander Dudka, one of these collaborationist mayors from the occupied Kherson region, and he released this video recently that's very strange, where he threatens to prosecute and deport the parents of any children who aren't enrolled in Russian-controlled schools in occupied Kherson. So let's say that you are a parent and, it's a war, and you say, yo, I don't want to put my kids in the school of an occupying army, because that occupying army is going to teach my child that the Ukrainian nation is fake, that our Ukrainian identity is fake. They're going to try to say that they should learn Russian, not Ukrainian. They're going to lie about the war crimes that are happening right now. And I don't want them to learn that. I don't want you to propagandize my child. And he has responded by saying that he will deport them, and he will vowed cruel and merciless punishment. Man, why would you stick your neck out to make yourself this much of a target to partisans? But whatever. Let's listen to what he has to say. And now I want to say a few more words about our everyday life. First, on the medical issue. There's already an official document stating that medical drugs purchased with funds from the Russian federal budget will not be given to foreigners, that is, the citizens of Ukraine. Above all, this concerns those on insulin who are now feeling what it's like to be a citizen of another country. That's point number one. Second, the same goes for the distribution of humanitarian aid and other issues with people who still haven't registered passports in the country they're living. So if you're curious what he's saying here, basically, if you do not accept Russian citizenship in occupied territory and do not take Russian passport, give the government, the Russian occupying forces, fingerprints and swear loyalty to the Russian Federation, if you don't do that, then they won't give you medical treatment and they won't give you humanitarian assistance. So they'll let you starve, and if you have medical problems, too bad. This is part of their strategy to basically force the local population to accept their new overlords. If they have to survive, then what other option do they have? Passports of the country that feeds them, that gives them social benefits and humanitarian aid, and ensures their safety here in the territory. And that safety is so vital now, given that what our so-called awaiters are up to, which has gone beyond all limits. So what he's talking about, the awaiters, what he's referring to is people who are quote-unquote awaiting the liberation of Ukrainian territory. So let's say that you're in occupied Mariupol and you hope that one day the Ukrainian army will come back, so you don't need to accept Russian citizenship. You don't need to put your child in schools that are going to tell them that their identity is fake. You don't need to put them in schools that are going to teach them a foreign tongue, right? So they're just waiting until the war is over and hopefully that their land's liberated. And so this is a method to pressure those people into submission and to say, you will not wait. You will accept citizenship now. And due to the fact that there's kind of like a blurry line about how the government views people taking Russian citizenship, with some Ukrainian government officials saying don't take citizenship, don't collaborate in any way with the occupation, and other Ukrainian government officials are saying, if you need to do it to survive, take Russian citizenship, so we'd rather have you alive than dead. Because of that confusion, it's only going to make the situation worse for the people who are waiting for liberation. It defies not only the law, but common sense. My dear awaiters, I've received a list of children who have not attended a single day of school for 2 years since the beginning of the special military operation. So it's clear to everyone, according to the laws of the Russian Federation, first of all, these parents will be held administratively liable and then charged with a felony. And then we will put them on buses and take them to the demarcation line and send them to your Ukrainian schools, where you will learn, my dears, you will learn your native language if you're squeamish about the Russian language. I remind you that, according to the decree of Kherson Governor Vladimir Saldo, we have 2 languages in our territory, Ukrainian and Russian, and no one who speaks Ukrainian is persecuted. Okay. All that is asked is that anyone speaking Ukrainian respects the country that has accepted him, the country that provides him with security. By the way, there were 3 girls that recently had to record a hostage-type video for dancing to a song in Ukrainian in occupied Kherson. Just want to throw that out there. And the country that helps him live now. Dear awaiters, I'm speaking to you. By the way, there wouldn't be a I hate this shit of like, we're giving you so much humanitarian aid and you don't want to be part of us. Well, we won't give you aid. We don't give you medical gear because if you're ungrateful for the help Russia's giving you. They wouldn't need aid if Russia didn't invade. They wouldn't need medical help or food or medicine from an aid organization, and they probably could have bought it on their own from their farms or from their businesses or from their 9-to-5 job if the Russians didn't invade. It'd be like if someone came to my house, burnt it down, and then they said, you know what, maybe we'll help you rebuild it if you acknowledge the greatness of Steve, the person who burnt down your house. And you agree that your old house was garbage and that you deserved it because of your Nazi root, your evil background, Ellen. It's just silly. Like this crisis wouldn't exist in the first place if it wasn't for the Russians, and now they often need to be thankful for the aid and the medical gear that the Russians are giving. Not only be thankful, but if they don't accept Russian citizenship, give them their fingerprints and just fall in line with the Russian narrative here, then you're not even going to get any of the medical assistance. You're not even going to get any of the treatment. And you are faced with deportation, and this is not talked about here, but this is part of an executive order that Putin wrote up, possibly your property rights being suspended, so they can give your home to other people, possibly settlers from Russia. Right now, I invite everyone to decide how we will live in the future. Will you live, and according to what laws? If you're not satisfied with the laws of the Russian Federation, I ask you to pack your things and prepare to leave. This is my proposal, which I'm putting forward. The Russian Federation came to them. They didn't come to the Russian Federation. I think all the law enforcement agencies will support me, so you can leave calmly while it's still possible. Later on, it will be more difficult. Therefore, I ask you to consider all the laws, all the provisions of the Russian government, and the governor's orders, which are trying to help you see the Russian Federation is here now, along with the Russian Federation's laws, and they are already working. Therefore, this lawlessness will be punished cruelly and mercilessly. My dear, Godspeed. Thank you for your attention. Man. You know, it honestly, it really makes me feel sick seeing stuff like this. Because he's openly saying, like, look, you know, I'm participating in this occupation. I'm bringing this hell to your doorstep. I am making it so these occupiers who have burnt down your towns and villages or cities, I'm going to help them manage this occupation. I'm going to be one of the collaborators. And not only that, for those of you who are seething in private, who are angry because you've lost family members to the Russian advance, because you've had family members who have been murdered, raped, bombed, your homes destroyed, farms unfarmable, filled with explosives or mines, who's had friends killed, friends displaced, the economy destroyed, families separated by a dividing line along the Dnieper. Not only do you have to deal with all of this, and the fact that you now live under occupation for the foreseeable future, at least for the immediate future, unless we see some great progress in the war effort. Not only do you live under occupation, but if you do not accept occupation and we absorb you into the administrative state of the occupation through you accepting citizenship, then you're going to have to basically live off the grid, or we'll just get rid of you ourselves. Pretty sick, man. They continue to displace people who don't accept their rule.